Vader's original concept wasn't that he was in a dark hooded mess of a man inside. It was that he could wear a mask, that he could jump from ship to ship, and have to not be exposed to space. That's why Vader originally had a mask.
Really? I didn't
And
know that.
yeah, so
That's
and of
fascinating.
course Lucas is very influenced by the samurai. So
Right.
he would get with McQuarrie and say, well, let's make sure this suit does have some dark connotations to it. And the samurai was a very feared sort of figure, and I love this design. And so you look at, there's a million publications again out there that
Yes.
show Vader right next to a samurai warrior battle
Yes.
armor, and they're very, very similar. So
Yeah, that
really
was
that
that
inspiration
always
is
jumped out at
iconic.
me, the samurai. I could see that. I didn't know about the space jumping. I think that's incredible. It's really interesting. Um,
Laser
that
swords were kind of the same thought. That was,
yes.
those were more inspired by how would these guys deal with some of the things that they're dealing with, and is it a unique enough thing? And oh yeah, it's a prince villain story. There's got to be swords in there somehow. How does that relevant? So as they were designing, Lucas was coming up with his greater story down the road is like, well, that's the weapon of a Jedi, of course. It's a more elegant, sort
Yeah.
of an apparatus, and those were seriously fascinating things. So I think as he went through and was developing the movie, his inspiration, he started to become self-informed, and as he's world building, these sort of things that we take for granted and just think Star Wars were somewhat developed out of necessity. The Millennium Falcon's a really good example of that. They had originally designed it, and it looked like a long, something you would have seen. I'll get to that point in just a second, but it was very different. Okay, it looked more like
Right.
a rocket
Yeah.
ship. It looked like
Yes.
something that would have taken off vertically and gone straight up, and then landed on its landing platform. Well, a TV show comes out, a British sci-fi program called Space 1999 comes out, and they have a ship that looks too much like the Millennium Falcon. And
Yeah.
mind you, they have already built in the studios in England full-scale mock-ups of the Millennium Falcon. He's like, got to redo it. And he took a bite of a cheeseburger, and they're like, what do you want us to do? He took a bite of a cheeseburger, set his Coke can or something next to him, and was like, I want it to look like that. And
Wow.
so
I didn't know that story,
literally,
the
yeah, they
cheeseburger
went
thing.
from
Wow.
this long cylindrical thing to something that looked like this with a weird cockpit on the side.